Okay.
Look at you.
Oh, Joe, look at your headband. Hey, I'm just doing a bit of a test here. I think we're good. I think all is well.
Kim's got the Canadian flag. Joe's got the Canadian flag. Francis and I are in black.
Well, I'm paying tribute to Team Canada. I'm supposed to be there right now.
Mm-hmm.
Probably getting my accreditation right sometime. Oh, by for sure by now. What is it? 1 o'clock. So it's like
Nighttime.
10 o'clock there at night. So.
Hey, why doesn't everybody just introduce themselves
To each other?
You don't think people don't know us?
Come on now, that's silly.
If you're in another part of the world, potentially, maybe.
Okay, I had one question on Instagram because I just put the poll up like 3 minutes ago.
Okay.
And it's from Shan. She wants to know how we all met each other.
Okay.
Oh.
Who wants to go first? Maybe in the order of meeting.
Yeah, I'm last.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Kim goes first.
I think I'm first.
Yeah.
So I met Francis, I think it was 2008. I'm pretty sure May 18th, 2008. I got recommended to Francis by a chiropractor that I was seeing. And so, yeah, I called up Francis and said, I need to lose some weight. And I started with Francis there. And then I met Linda through Francis, as Linda started training with Francis. And then I met Joe through Linda and Francis.
It's like the pieces all go together. That's it. Francis is the instigator.
Yeah. Linda?
Yep. And then I met Francis because I wanted to lose weight and become a bodybuilder before I was 50. I think that was 2009. So I think I was like,
2009? Yeah.
Was it 9?
8?
Yeah. Maybe 9. I think 2009.
Okay.
Maybe 2008. I don't remember.
Well,
it was a long time ago.
Yeah.
A long time ago.
Yeah. You can take. Joe?
Yeah. And then I met Francis, the common denominator.
Yes. Troublemaker.
After almost dying doing a bodybuilding show and starting to powerlift. And then I met Linda at the strength thing in the park. What was that called?
Right.
Strength in the Valley?
Strength in the Valley, yeah.
That's it.
Yep.
And then I met Kim a couple years later, I feel like.
Yeah, at the Provincials, 2014.
That's right.
When I got thrown on the platform and I had no idea what I was doing.
Yeah, you just flew in from somewhere with the best T-shirt ever. That's right, Francis.
Yeah, you like that?
Best meat T-shirt ever made.
Meat T-shirt. Okay, since we're on that, we should hear.
I got my Team Canada shirt on too.
Yay!
Okay, Inzer Advanced Designs. This kind of started it. Actually, no, this didn't start it. This conversation about this T-shirt and this meats kind of got me thinking. It's this has been a long time coming, right, Linda?
Yeah. I love that shirt. Oh, that's such a good shirt.
It's a good shirt. It's like
I know.
It's Hamilton. It's the lifter. Joe, I think. Is that you, Joe? Is that you deadlifting?
I think that's Joe, yeah.
Lightning. Inzer on the back. Linda, tell us about that.
Yeah, Inzer sponsored was our sole sponsor for T-shirts, and that was like that never had happened before. Apparently, I didn't know. And I don't even know how George contacted me, but he found out about it somehow and said he wanted to be involved. So I said, well, we could use sole sponsorship, as I was making this up in my head as I was driving.
Wasn't that the biggest meet in Canada up until that point, too?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, we had 250.
Yeah, I think
2014, right?
240, something like that. Yeah, 240, 250. Because I think Lynn had nationals. After that, it was about 280, and that was the biggest nationals to date after that. And
we had a big vendor set up, which I think hadn't really come into play in Canada before.
Yeah, we had Inner Strength came. We had Popeyes.
Some biking company.
Yeah, that guy that you knew, Francis, that had the bars and the protein drinks. The YWCA was there with cookies at their
And there
The
was a
girls
woman
made-
there selling tights too, wasn't it? Was it Sweet Legs? Who was it? Somebody
That's
like
Sweet
that.
Yeah, Sweet Legs was there selling tights. Yeah, it was good. Yeah, so we were lucky to get Inzer to come on because that was apparently just sheer luck. But
Yeah.
John Inzer totally okayed it because I'm pretty sure it was Master Worlds happened right before then, because I remember talking to somebody who was there. Maybe it was the Stins, and there was like, oh, there's the Inzer table, and they had just talked to him about it, and it was a provincial meet that this big vendor or this big supplier had sponsored, and that was before SBD. There was no
Oh.
SBD then.
No,
It
No,
was
it
only
wasn't.
Titan and Inzer.
that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we
So
weren't,
that
we
was,
weren't wearing knee sleeves back then. There was barely such thing.
yeah.
And isn't that the meet that Kim came to spot at, or is that a different meet?
No, it's the same meat.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was the fall
Walters,
after Iron Sisters. The first had been right after the first Iron Sisters.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's the date here? November 28 to 30, 2014. Yeah. Yeah, it was late-ish provincials, but they were a little bit later anyways, right? Because Linda, our first provincials was first week of December, I think, 2012. So it was late. I can't recall.
Yeah, it's always late fall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah,
That was
a crazy meet.
It was.
We didn't know what the hell we were doing.
Yeah.
We didn't know.
Yeah, you sure did. If you put me on the platform, I didn't even know what powerlifting was.
That's right.
I was there for 8 hours straight. God.
That's what happens. You.
Yes.
After that, we just made you cook for us.
Yeah. Well, just the gopher. That's it. I just do what I'm told.
Now you're the cooker.
I've been the cooker.
Fabulous
I've been
food.
the flag ironer.
Yes. You know your place, Kim. You know your place.
And the funniest thing is that you guys running around with chickens with your head cut off, and then you were going to try to compete as well.
Which we
I
did.
distinctly remember that. I remember doing this big setup and being completely exhausted from lugging all those fucking plates
Up the elevator.
and then thinking
Up the
myself
elevator.
at like midnight when I was going to bed and saying, shit, I actually got to get up tomorrow at 5:30 if I can weigh in the lift.
Oh yeah.
You're not cut out for manual labor there, Joe.
No.
Just good at pointing your fingers and bossing people. So that worked out good because everybody needs those.
Yeah.
Yeah. That elevator. Oh my God.
Oh.
That
Who
wasn't a
saved
regular
us?
elevator.
Who was the one that saved us? Was it? Who was there? It was a guy. Was it Abby?
No, Abby came for when we
That
did
was
juniors.
junior provincials.
The next year, yeah.
Mark helped us with the first provincials.
Somebody stepped in, lugging
Like
everything
the
up
two
that
young
elevator.
guys that Mark brought. I think Mark's two young
Yeah.
guys maybe came.
And the skins.
Oh yeah.
The skins.
Oh yeah.
Don't you remember the barn episode?
Oh yeah. We ended up at
We took it all apart.
And we went back to Bill's barn
That's right.
in the rain with Walford, Rhea, Ryan. We were all lugging shit into the barn in the middle of the rain
I
in
know.
the middle of nowhere, Ontario.
It's always raining and dark in Bill's.
So my one regret from that, because I remember distinctly being around in the barn that night, and I thought, like, why didn't we take a photo of everyone there with Bill in particular, and then obviously some of the best powerlifters. It's a regret because I just think what a neat place for someone like a Kimberly or even like Rhea and Ryan to go and see. This is where it started for Bill and for the CPU and for the IPF, and to kind of see that. Yeah, it's pretty special to have seen.
Yeah. I remember when we were I was watching Jacob and his dad put up the banner, and Bill was there that night setting up, and he said, this is just like a world meet. Like, this is world class what you're doing. This is a world meet. We had never been to a world meet before, so we had no idea.
Yeah.
But evidently it was.
So contextualize this for people who don't know who Bill is. Who wants to speak to that?
Linda.
Oh, Bill, he's the grandfather and godfather of powerlifting.
Yeah.
Right? He started it way back in the day in Pennsylvania, like York, Pennsylvania, with a few of the US guys, and that's where it started. and everybody was very afraid of Bill. Bill used to be a very scary guy. Very scary guy.
Yeah.
Bill did not like me. No, not for a very long time.
Why do you think that?
We had that conversation because he thought I was really pushy, you know?
Well,
No way.
Yeah, imagine that. But then, we had that conversation at my dining room table years ago.
Yeah.
But then he got to like me, and he said that he got to like me, and we're good. I love him.
You never had anybody who showed up who required a bathroom outside instead of because peeing outside of the barn was the thing to do, and B, with pink in your hair and earrings, that had never been.
That was my first real formal powerlifting training when I went out to the barn. So Krista Shaw sent me out to the barn, Bill's barn, and it was like, boys and Aaron Denton, and then I walked in and I'm all like, blonde hair, perfume, and hairspray. Bill didn't know what to do. He just did not know what to do. Yeah. But that's okay. I learned a lot out there.
Yeah.
It was fun, right?
That's right.
Yeah, I remember Mike Zvanovich when he started out there. I remember the day he walked in and he was just like this tall, big guy, but not like he is now, right? And he was scared and didn't know anything. And Bill just saw him walk in and was like, "Whoa, I got this guy on my team." Yeah, that was good.
Yeah. So, Kim, you were supposed to go to Worlds. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah.
Fast forwarding now.
I was supposed to fly out Friday morning to South Africa to compete at the World Championships. Would be starting on Tuesday. We were one of the first ones out once again. Masters 2 women. So yeah, a little disappointing. Obviously, I'm not alone. There's a lot of us on Team Canada, and some are our first time, right? So I'm sure that stings even more that this was your first World Championship. But you know what? Whatever. We're safe and we're healthy, and there'll be another World Championship. And I'll be there. Yeah, a little disappointed, because in 3 days I would have been sleeping in a tent with the lions. And the elephant
with the lions.
So I'm a little
surrounded by.
Yeah, I'm a little disappointed, but I'm sure I'll get back there one day soon. I have a lot of flying credits right now, so I pretty much could go anywhere. Yeah. So c'est la vie.
Yeah.
Keep going, and that's it.
So speaking of keeping going, because we've all been doing this kind of stuff for a while, and we're losing. Hang on a second. Where's everybody at with what they're doing these days? This is a little different than we're used to, right? Kim was supposed to be competing right now. Joe, what about you?
Well,
this is what we're doing.
I haven't been training very much. Oh, look, there's a dog. Hi, dog.
He's just rolling on his back. That's what he's doing. Represents my life.
Because work has been so stressful, I really haven't been training that much. And it's hard to explain because in theory, I have more days off than normal because we aren't doing any elective procedures. But the mental stress of going to work during this and being at work and coming home from work and then dealing with being responsible for my kids' education at the same time, I'm just so mentally overwhelmed with it that the thought of going into my gym has been really overwhelming.
Mm-hmm.
So I really haven't been doing much until I'd say probably the past week. And I really have no interest in lifting heavy weights right now. I just don't have any energy reserves left for that. So for me, it's just getting in the gym and doing something right now. It's hard to explain because, I've been way busier in my life and yet still been able to train and make it work and had focus and energy to do it. But this is just very different. And it's again, it's kind of counterintuitive and it's hard to explain. But I know that some of my other colleagues are into other extreme sports, like Ironman, have felt kind of the same way. So hopefully, as things ease off a bit, I'll be able to train a little bit more. But I'm also not super stressed about it because it's just the way life is right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Linda, you've taken a bit of a different approach to your training in the last little bit, and I know you were trying to focus on some other things, which also have taken a bit of a hiatus given the circumstances. But can you kind of walk us through, like, the shift for you, and maybe like talk a little bit about why? Because I take it back because we're talking about having started competing in powerlifting, like when I first competed in 2010, and you saw the meet, and then your first meet was 2011. So there's been a long period of time, and you've done lots during that, and yet you're transitioning. There's always transition, but sometimes there's like going in this direction, now you're going to go over here. Can you kind of
Yeah.
walk through that?
Yeah. I think, not that the word blame is not the right word probably, but from being so involved with the side of powerlifting that is organizing, working on the teams and organizing that, and being involved with executive levels and stuff like that. Really, the more I became involved with that, the less passion I had for powerlifting. It sucked it out of me, and it was almost become so encompassing that I didn't have room for it in my soul anymore. And I really struggled with that, and I felt guilty about it, and still do feel guilty about it, because I feel like this is what the cool kids do, and this is what my friends do, and this is what I should do. So I got a whole lot of shoulds going on in my head. But there's other things that I enjoy doing that, I found out that I really like swimming, and I wanted to do the outdoor swimming, right? So that'll come back in time, of course.
Yeah.
But you can't do it now. And then, it's just like getting outside and walking. It's not really a walk with my dog. It's more of a sniff, but I found that that's really been mentally. Yeah, we go sniffing together. But his sniffing amount tires him out, and it gives me this real good mental space that I never appreciated before, because I was always like, let's go. We got to walk fast. We've got to do this. It's a physical thing. We got to move fast. And I'm like, no, I really am enjoying this saunter, and just, I can't, if I pull him, it's like a sled pull. So, can't get physical at times, but so, I try to commit myself to is my dog walks right now. And that's honestly, and then I go, oh, maybe I'm going to go downstairs and I'm going to do some weights, and I can do some deadlifts, which is probably the most favorite thing I like to do. And I go there with trepidation going, I don't even know if I can do this anymore. But I'm like, oh, there goes 10 reps. Oh, let's do another 10. But I'm not doing it consistently. Let's face it. If I can get 2 in a week,
yeah,
I'm okay. But it's like I was saying last night, I was talking to Vicky last night. The best times in my life where I enjoyed doing physical things, I was doing something for my body, my mind, and my soul. Right? So if I was training, and then maybe that's when I was taking singing lessons and I was doing some volunteer work. But it's eventually became so much powerlifting related on everything that I did, whether it was body, mind, or soul, that is just too much.
Yeah.
And so I'm really I'm not hating this self-isolation COVID at all. Got to tell you, it's really kind of working for me, and I can explore different things, and I still catch up with all you guys, of course, but it's not like you're, oh, I have to be here because everybody's going to be there. We're going to do this thing. It's like, I can do it when I want to.
Yeah.
And just wrestling with not feeling guilty about it.
Yeah.
I'm not.
That's an amazing realization, though. So the times you were happiest is when you were doing something for body, mind, and soul. It wasn't necessarily one thing. It wasn't saying, oh, powerlifting's feeding my body, mind, and soul, because it could be done maybe for some people like that. Or like you said, you thought of all those other things, the volunteering, because having known you for so long, like I know that those are things that you were passionate about, right? And so you did singing. You were singing like once a week. You were going into like the old age homes, and then your volunteer stuff. You were always doing every week. There was something that you were volunteering with.
Yeah.
And then you even had your own group. from the body perspective, how, you were cultivating some other people with that too. So,
Yeah.
there's this Linda, it's maybe coming back to Linda and saying, this is who I am. This is, I am very much a person who needs these other things that I love.
Yeah. And when it became so much of just all wrapped up in one thing, the love stopped.
There you go.
Right. And you see it from a different aspect. There's other things out there to do.
Yeah.
Right. And you shouldn't feel less than because you want to explore that. Right.
So I want to kind of see if that resonates with you, Joe, and you, Kim, because as individuals in the sport, we've often talked about this, how, it's a piece of us. It's a part of us. It's a piece of a thing, what that we do. And, there are other facets to us as human beings. I mean, Joe, you've, gone to multiple world championships, medaled, had shots at world records, own national records. Lots of people from the outside can look at you and go, oh, like her life must be all about powerlifting. And Kim, same thing with you, right? But I know you guys. In the same way, what Linda's saying, does that resonate with you? And kind of bringing it back to your approach to lifting. And Joe, you even just gave us some really good insights there. You talked about, like, whereas people would say, oh, well, I bet you Joe's really training because that's going to, help keep her, head right and this and that. Like, yeah, so kind of walk us through that.
So it's interesting. Like, I, in normal times, have a very busy life, and I've always managed to fit training into it, but often it's been at the cost, or at least mental cost, of something else. So there's definitely been times where I've trained instead of going to one of my kids' activities, or I've gone to my kids' activities and then trained super late at night when I've been exhausted, or, I've shift things around and juggle things around so much, or I've trained on 3 hours of sleep post night shift. So there's definitely been times where, there's probably been very few times where I've had optimal training conditions, which a lot of people don't talk about. And I do look at other lifters, especially younger lifters who are in a different, part of their lives, right? Where they really do have, all the time in the world to train, or they have the time and the ability to make it their focus. Or, one of our world team members, I think last year, took 6 months off work just to focus on training. And I sometimes would look at that and go, holy crap, like, I can't even imagine, like, dedicating that much of my life to powerlifting, because it's not my number one, and it never will be, right? My kids, my job, they are more important. So it's always kind of been something that I've juggled to fit in, and I've been able to do well at it, just juggling and fitting it in. But definitely times where it's been overwhelming for me, and I've wondered if, what I was putting into it, if I was getting out as much as I was putting into it at times. And that doesn't just mean performance or medaling or that sort of thing, but just enjoyment. Because there are definitely times where, as Linda said, it can just become all consuming. And when you have all these other things in your life that are also important, you really have to sometimes really reevaluate how much you're putting into something versus how much you're getting out of it. And something that I think Casey Bain said to me once, which I go back to often, is that even if you keep powerlifting alone for a while, like, it's not going anywhere, right? Even if you just want to train for yourself in your home, that doesn't make you less of a powerlifter or less of a person, right? Like, powerlifting is always going to be there in some fashion, and what you decide it means to you is all that really matters. So whether you're in a part of your life where you can, really dedicate 4 hours a day, 5 days a week to training, to want to go to a high level, versus you just want it to be part of your life, people shouldn't feel badly about it. And just what you were saying about, people wondering why I'm not, like, training 3 hours a day, because I'm literally mentally exhausted, and training, as much as I'm physically exhausted from work because I can't eat and sleep for long periods of time now, that's not really the main issue. The main issue is I just don't have the mental
energy to go down there and lift heavy weights right now. And it really does require mental energy. And my mental energy, even when I'm home, is exhausted by trying to juggle things that are happening at work right now. So, and again, I'm not, in another time in my life, I might be sort of panicking about this, but I'm really not, because it's just where things are right now in the world and in my life in particular.
Yeah. Kim, you want to hear from your perspective on that? I mean, we talked a little bit about you not being able to go to Worlds.
Yeah, so it was really difficult at first, not gonna lie, spiraled out of control. In my version of control. You got to remember, I wasn't far out from leaving for Worlds, so my diet was locked down. I was cutting hard. I was, going to see audits on a regular basis to make sure my body stayed healthy. We were ramping everything up in my cycle, and then all of a sudden, boom, it's done. So needless to say, some weight crept back on and took the pressure from work. For those of you that don't know, I am a supervisor in adult mental health.
Hang on, can you just 1 second? Is somebody typing?
No.
Do you guys hear anything?
Yeah.
Just lots of crackling.
Right. We're back. Okay, Kim.
Okay.
Take it away.
Yeah. Just what I was saying is that I'm a supervisor for adult mental health. It's quite a career to have in these times right now. Quite a career on a regular basis, but in these times, I'm responsible for 25 clients and 35 staff. So it consumed me trying to keep everybody safe, making sure everybody was following the protocols and everything else. And then having to stay at work so I didn't cross-contaminate into my own home, because I had staff coming and going all day long. So, and I am the worst solo gym person ever. I don't like to train by myself. So even though Linda was extremely generous and lending me her rack, and I had it there, and I was gung-ho and I was going at the beginning. And then as things got ramped up in the world, I was just, like Joe said, mentally exhausted. I'm sitting at a screen in Zoom conferences, and so my ears and my eyes are trying to concentrate while everybody's talking, and this is going, my phone's ringing, crisis happening. It's by 4:30, all I wanted to do was lay on my bed and eat popcorn.
And drink wine.
And that's what I did.
Tequila.
Well, no tequila at work, let's be clear.
Right.
Tequila was on the weekend. We've had to adjust things. And everybody knows that I hate to train and I love to compete. So that's a problem when you don't have a meet scheduled. Yeah, that's a problem. I heard the other day I was listening to Josh Rees, and he said the same thing, and I was like, oh my God, I'm not alone. Because everybody knows I hate the training process and I love to compete. So yeah, without having any meets in the near future, it's just like, oh, that'll wait. But I'm back into it more consistently now. My coach, Ryan Fowler, has been fantastic. He knows the stress I'm under, so he's backed things off. And just get in there, keep moving, and keep doing the thing, and see how it goes.
So another question to ask, did we get any more questions, Joe, on your Instagram?
I don't know. I gotta look. Hang on.
No. So the other question I have for you is, okay, so powerlifting's changed. We know that it's changed. It changes seemingly every year. Linda, you've been around for a little bit, and you've seen the growth and all of that kind of stuff. So I'm looking for one thing that you are surprised at in terms of the changes? And then after we talk about that, tell me, what's your hope for powerlifting going forward? So I want to look back first. One thing you're
Anything, Joe?
Yeah. Well, we'll get to Joe in a bit.
Oh, okay.
Let's answer that if we can. What's one thing that surprised you, and then let's do that, and then we'll do the second question.
What's the question? Sorry, I missed it.
One thing. When you're given the history that you have, as you look back, what has surprised you in the growth of the sport, or in the sport in general, in powerlifting? Part two is what was part two again? Well, too much of this. What's one hope going forward? Okay, but let's do the.
What surprised me? I guess, the growth of it took off like crazy. I would say maybe what surprised me, sadly, was the lack of sense of family anymore. There still is with a lot of people, because there's people that you remember from when they started powerlifting or when you started powerlifting. And those probably tend to be the ones who show up all the time and were the ones that stepped up to help out. So it's just kind of like, it's and we all know it doesn't matter where you are in powerlifting. It doesn't matter where you are in the world of powerlifting. Finding people to step up and help out is a huge issue. And it falls to the few. And I think those few are probably getting really tired.
So is it safe to say that, we talked about, who's watching TV right now?
Oh, probably me.
Turn the fucking TV
on.
Linda comes in, sits on the couch, turns the fucking TV on. Are you kidding me? Oh, God.
Just like, the dogs are watching some murder mystery.
Oh, God. So on that, of course they are. Oh, geez.
I
fell. Too much tequila.
Okay.
Tequila.
So,
Jesus.
Is it fair to say that, when we saw that the 2014 nationals, 2014 provincials, and we saw like the numbers of people that were involved, did you guys have like this glimmer of hope that was like, oh my goodness, look at what we could do when we look at how many more people are involved, and they're all going to come on board, and they're going to help, and it's going to be great, and then it's like, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. How about we take the bench championships as an example of that?
Okay.
More of us.
What was this?
Our Napa bench championship.
When we did the bench, the NAPF bench, and that was like pulling
17.
Yeah, wasn't it the very first female team to put on a championship?
Yeah.
But we didn't have much help.
Zero help. Zero.
I brought a couple of my clients to help.
Chairs. Do you remember Keller sitting there watching us?
Yeah.
Carrying plywood in and etc. things. Sitting there going, oh, you three, you're 4 girls. Do all this? I can't believe you guys do all this.
Yeah, we do all this. We actually do it all. Every plate, every bar, everything.
So the growth, the growth is something to be like in awe of, but that's only numbers of people showing up on the platform, right? Or showing up on Instagram.
What about giving back, right? Giving back to the sport.
Yeah.
In
a crunch.
Yeah.
In a crunch, you can usually pull somebody out of the audience. When you see that you have a hole and something needs to be filled, you can pretty much scan that room. And I've done it before, and I've seen the look of fear when I'm looking towards somebody's like, she's going to ask me to do something, and I can't say no. Right? But it's hard. It's hard to do it, and it's why bother?
So how did that happen? Because people were connected to other people in the sport. Right? Like historically, we talk about Bill Jamieson, we're talking about having learned from the legacy, and, this is how things are done, and you not only show up and compete, but then you get on a platform, or then you volunteer, you put on a meet, or you step up and you join a committee or whatever. I guess there was somewhere along the line that the growth was so big that some of that stuff didn't get passed on, and the growth was happening in different ways, social media, the kind of thing that people didn't pick up on the fact that there's this other thing. It's like the veil behind the stanchions and the curtain, right?
Yeah.
Like, there's people in the background doing this. I thought we just showed up and it was just all here. That's kind of the downside, right?
Yeah. And it's funny because you'll always be able to get enough people to run the meet. It always happens. But there's so much stress involved with it. And when you hear any criticism, that criticism will stick with you far more than remembering, unfortunately, the people who did step up and make it happen.
Oh,
right?
Whatever.
Yeah, I know. And that's what it sticks with you. And but it's from the people who don't do anything.
Yeah. Or the people that stay up all night to get shit done so it's ready for the morning. Listen, we can go on and on about the beats that we've been a part of, and the 11th hour, and we've been up for 12 hours already, making sure something's going to run smoothly in the morning.
Making
and we all know what we're talking about.
Like a super show?
2018.
Fruit skewer through the finger, that
Fruit
one.
skewers.
Skewers.
I think I was drunk with the
Arranging travel, airplane travel when referees fly into Calgary instead of YYC instead of YYZ. The phone call from a phone booth at 2:30 in the morning.
Oh God.
Yeah.
And if you don't get the referee there by morning, they can't have world records. I don't know. I don't know how that all happens. It's magical.
Yeah. So
The ulcer medication.
ulcer medication. Anything else kind of surprise you in the development? Since your early days, since you're starting. Anybody?
Anybody, not me.
Well, I'm surprised at the lack of volunteering, for sure, and the lack of knowledge. There are a lot of lifters that have never been on a platform and actually don't know what they're doing when they're on there, which is interesting to me because it's your sport. Shouldn't you know as much as you can about it?
So we got a story.
I mean, I've been to meets, lots of places. My last one was the Virgin Islands, and so yeah, it's not just here in Canada. Say that.
So we've Linda, our experience at our first nationals in 2013, meeting our good friend Mike Armstrong. What was the first thing he said to us? Don't you know the rules?
Yeah. Well, didn't we go to get rack heights or something else? We didn't know our rack heights.
We didn't know our rack heights.
We didn't know our rack heights, and we should have known our rack heights going into a nationals what they were. But I don't even know if we had even any experience on that equipment.
No.
We weren't training on that at the time, right?
No. And
Mike really scared me.
Mike scared us. But
yes, he did.
But that was his point. We were there the day before. I mean, they were just setting things up. We thought we'd sneak in, and thanks for the welcome, Mike. We love you. Okay. Seriously, but the point comes back to as an athlete, knowing the rules. Well, the things that surprised me from the coaching perspective is the number of coaches who don't know the rules, right? And I like to give people the benefit of the doubt. And God bless you if you're entering in and you're a new coach. And there's lots to learn, and it's ongoing. But the rule book isn't one of them. And if you're making it to the provincial level and the national level and the international level, and you don't know the rules, we got a problem. We got a huge problem. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What's looking forward? If you could hope for something in the sport, what would it be? And maybe it's just the corollary of what we've just said, but maybe it's something different.
No, that the master lifters get recognized more, and there's more than one person in the audience at a world championship. A Tuesday at 8:00 in the morning or whatever it is. No, in all seriousness, I can't remember where I was I want to say it was nationals last year, and there was world champions lifting. There was Jane Egan, and the announcer had no idea. Nobody even, knew their accomplishments or anything. Like, there are a lot of master lifters.
They knew that you were a world champion.
Oh, yeah, apparently. That wasn't me. That was my handler, but yeah, I was a world champion. Oh,
well, it's Kim and Kim, same difference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's just, I think, especially with the influx of lifters and all the young lifters, it's really disheartening that the master lifters, and I'm a newbie master lifter, so I'm not referring to myself, but the ones that have been in the game a long time, it's like people, it doesn't matter, which is a shame. I find it a real shame.
Okay.
That's all.
What's the question again?
What's your hopes?
What's your looking forward now in the sport? Like, what's your hope for something to happen, or nothing?
A good question. I don't have an answer right now.
Okay. Hold that thought, Linda.
Oh, I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know. Because it's slowly becoming not a part of me.
Right.
It's a part of me, but it's not like that driving force anymore.
Yeah. So
but it's like and probably with all sports, when you get involved and you meet people, it's a great way to have that camaraderie and find people like we found each other, right? And so when people can find people like in their lives that are that important, then whatever you're doing, it becomes a good thing. So maybe more people will find their posse like we did.
Mm-hmm.
Because no matter what we do, whatever we do, whether it's powerlifting or whatever, I mean, what's going to come between us? Like death. Like, that's it. And I'm going to probably be the first to go because I'm doing
Linda, that's not a good thing to be saying right about now. Okay?
No, we're all good. We're good. We're good.
Bad reference.
We're good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I like, Joe, what you talked about, because I've said this, and much of my life that's different than you three is that my life does in large part revolve around training and weights, and not just for me, but for the people that I work with. It's my it's my full-time thing, and my hope is always that whatever it is that we do within this realm becomes a piece of someone's life, that it doesn't just define their life, but it becomes a part, and the relationship that we have with it, and for those people that I work with, that there is ebb and flow, and there are times that we can take it to a different level or a different place, but that it becomes a piece of their life and a part of their lifestyle. And that said, I've always ascribed to, there's always going to be time to take it to that next level or whatever, in the same way that Casey said, powerlifting will always be there. The weights will always be there. It's just like I used to say, the bodybuilding stage is always there. If you ever want to do that thing, in that way, we'll leave that one.
Been there, done that.
We'll leave that one for another conversation.
Even though I do love the training of to become a bodybuilder, I love the training.
It's the dieting.
Yeah,
let's be real. Yeah,
I love the training.
I think I was eating 500 calories a day while breastfeeding.
Oh, you were whatever calories were coming in, going to your boob or coming out. So that was it. That was like
really bad.
Oh God. Yeah, let's hold the bodybuilding talk for another time. But just to kind of wrap up here on a happier note.
Well, it's all happy.
It's all happy, of course. But actually, I think it's actually a really good place to put into context for what we. It's my speakers.
You.
I don't know. It probably is. It's probably my fault. But to put into context, given our circumstances where we're at, I think there's a need for re-examining of whatever it is that we do in our life.
Yeah.
At different times, and if we haven't taken that time, and right now some of it is being forced on us in the sense that we have, perhaps some of us might have more time to think about it or be forced to live a little differently. It's a good thing. It's a really good thing. And powerlifting will always be there. The weights, Linda, your gym will always be there. Just our approach. This is life. It ebbs and flows. And I don't know about you guys, but personally, I do want to get back on the platform when I'm 50 and 60 and 70 and 80 and hopefully friggin' 90. That's the goal now. But I'm giving myself permission down the road. That could change.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's some of your favorite DVP moments? What are the outtakes that people don't know?
My favorite is driving back in a snowstorm from Nationals last year. Joe pissing on the side of the road. Francis thinking we were going to be stranded there with no food. Meanwhile,
we had
so much food in that truck that you couldn't even imagine. And we had the truck was loaded so much in the back with our luggage was wrapped in bags that Linda supplied from her company
with pink duct tape.
Oh God, that's my favorite.
And when we rolled in a snowstorm into the hotel, all our bags wrapped in.
Didn't we have a rack too in the back of that?
Yeah, we had the rack.
Yeah.
And the pro show.
Yeah.
The $550 bar bill.
Joe, what was our bar bill at the pro show?
$560. It was all
and Kim doing all her fruit skewers, and Francis waking up to fruit flies in the room. What the hell?
And I think there was blood.
And blood.
Blood. Oh man.
There was also the time that Linda and I were road tripping to USAPL Nationals, and we stopped to get gas.
Oh yeah.
I went in to use the washroom, and Linda was in charge of pumping the gas. And then we started to leave, and there was no gas.
I thought the guy turned the pumps on. Apparently, he did not. So it took both of us to, after that, get out of the car and make sure there was gas going in. It was a 2-person job from that point on.
Yeah, or me and Francis driving to the Arnolds and driving along, and we're wondering why it's taking so long. Francis had her GPS on back roads. So we took the back way.
We totally took the back way. It was really pretty.
Oh yeah, it was.
We had a deadline, but it wasn't immediate. I mean,
Oh God.
I think my favorite road trip was the year that I lifted at Arnold's. Like, that was my favorite of our
was so much fun.
road trips. I don't know why. I think it's probably because that's before powerlifting got so big, and we were still kind of in awe of it, and we weren't annoyed by it as much. Mm-hmm. I don't know, and it was our first time that one of us had lifted at the Arnold's. I don't know, it was just...
Didn't I let Ed Cohn into the warm-up room?
I didn't know.
It was not supposed to happen. I didn't know.
You started it.
First time we met...
I didn't know the rule.
Wasn't it the first time we met Abby? L.S. McLean... was it Jen Thompson too? I think the first time we met Jen Thompson. Who else was there? Bonica.
Yeah.
John McDonald was there.
John
the time John, Abby, and I squished into a smart car to go see the movie. It was all bad.
Oh God.
Oh yeah, that was a great road trip. I think it was very nostalgic too for me and Francis, who had always wanted to go to the Arnold's and had never been.
And Linda and I met that bodybuilding guy.
Being a famous bodybuilder and not knowing who the hell he was.
I didn't know.
What was his name again?
Phil Heath. Phil Heath.
Yeah.
He was just surrounded by people. We figured he must be important, so we stopped and talked to him.
Yeah, and it was when the Arnold wasn't super, super, super crowded yet. So yeah, oh man, was that ever a fun trip? That was a great trip.
That was a good trip.
I'll always remember that trip. Me and Francis were training at the Powerhouse gym, and literally, well, I was supposed to deadlift that day and I couldn't because there were so many people in this gym you couldn't even move. Where you were basically like facing each other doing bicep curls.
Two different dumbbells, because you can't even get that.
Oh yeah, it was crazy. It was, but the energy there was magnificent. It was awesome.
So
that's when I started to wear my belt backwards.
Anytime we take a road trip, and it always involves large trays of sushi, and all of us like piled into the car with so many things stuck between us, and then or when we're in like the hotel when we get the big room, when we get the suites. I love their suites.
Yeah. The Crown Plaza suites, the best.
So
what were we doing? Was it the bench championships when we, Gino was in there all night with us and Arian, and oh man, did we had lots of laughs. Lots of laughs.
Favorite all time on the platform, Linda, were you reffing on the other platform, or were you reffing the section that Joe was lifting at the 20?
Oh, I was on the other platform, yeah.
Okay.
At Ottawa.
Yes, so I'm platform managing, Kim's side spotting. What happens first within the first 4 lifters? The bar flies off someone's back and lands on the spotter's foot. She's broken foot. She's out for forever. Friggin' Joe comes up to the platform. Kim and I are super excited. We're on the platform while Joe's competing. Goes out for, this is your third deadlift, Joe? Sets up, goes to pick the bar up, flies off the tea kettle, lands on the ground. The best part was Ryan Stin, with his spectacular photography, manages to capture 5 or 6 photos of the whole process. Joe's like, what the fuck? Our faces just show this utter disbelief. Then you're being told that you still have time and that Joe, you should go.
Yeah, you still have time. Go
It was Gino that told me that.
God.
What?
I don't think so. Oh, God. Yeah.
Yeah, some good memories. Hopefully not hopefully, there will be a lot more. Maybe in different capacities, but Linda and I just had a great memory. Thank God we went, Linda.
I know. Thank God we went when we did.
One of us were lifting. I had the honor of helping.
So lucky to go on that trip.
Rob
so
with
lucky.
John, and Linda was, getting her Cat 1, right? Yeah, her Cat 1.
Cat 2. Yeah.
It was, wow. What an experience that was. That was an amazing experience. And we weren't competing. We were there in different capacities, right? I was just to tag along and then, got to help out with equipped lifting, which was amazing. All these people are walking around half naked. I couldn't figure out what the hell was going on. Why are they in their underwear? In the warm-up room. Okay. And I think I said to somebody, what is happening? And then I realized they got to take all their clothes off to get, their gear on. And I was just like, whoa, women are in thongs. And I'm like, oh, whoa. But, it was an interesting day. That's all I gotta say. There were some hot bods, okay? There were some hot bods back there. Not gonna lie.
Great.
Not gonna lie.
Well, there's another plug for equipped lifting. There you go.
Yeah, hot bods underneath that.
Yeah.
Okay, so we gotta wrap this up because I'm not gonna make it. I didn't put a diaper on.
Hungry?
I didn't put a diaper on.
Oh.
That was actually our question, or we have 2 questions.
Oh, okay.
One was from one of my non-lifting doctor friends asking how we keep our pelvic floor strong lifting such heavy weight.
No, we don't.
We don't.
We don't.
Diaper. Wear a diaper.
And the other one I didn't really understand was from Fudge. It was like, what's my all-time plates only on one side PR?
Plates only.
Well, how many times has that happened? Wasn't that at the pro show when?
No, that was at the pro show, Joe.
When they tilted over? When they fell off? Yeah.
I think that was 130.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Yes.
But I guess it was only half of 130 because it was only...
Yeah, that was. How can we keep Joe from being injured? Joe's always limping. She's got a shoulder out. Her hands are cramping. Her arms all.
My only claim to fame was that 8 million viewer YouTube video of me as the front page of the bad spotting from Colleen.
Yeah, with the thumbnail, Joe. Joe's the thumbnail. You should get something for that. We'll see if we can snag a photo of that and insert that in here somewhere. It's classic. It's a classic look. Oh man. Okay, so hopefully this is a start of something very special, or the ongoing.
The ongoing saga.
Ongoing. Got it. Maybe next time we can dress up.
Oh, cool.
It's something sparkly.
Oh god,
Okay.
this is my life. This is my life. All right. Any more parting thoughts?
No.
No, it was
Donuts
fun.
will be delivered later, maybe later today or tomorrow.
Nice.
Thanks to our sponsor,
Tito's. Our sponsors. That's right.
Take a swig, Francis. Take a swig.
That's it. Tim and I were drinking this straight up in Thompson's basement.
Oh, that's Jen Thompson's.
oh, right.
I have a picture. I could post it of Linda sloshed in bed with me after drinking like half a bottle of Tito's out of the Thompson's bar. Love you, Thompsons. Your
Love you,
bar is
Thompson.
amazing.
All right.
Don't leave us unattended in the middle of the night.
Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed for two things. One, this whole recording thing, it didn't connect badly. Even though it sounds like somebody's behind the typing away. And number two, that we'll come back and we're able to do it again.
Yeah.
Okay.
Fun being together.
Bye.
Yeah, bye, guys.
Bye.
See you soon.
Thank you.